everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Batman. Now, McFarlane is sort of continuing the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series line that ended a couple years ago, but it's mostly re-releases and cell shading, and that's all said and good. At least the build figure Condiment King is going to scratch the itch for a brand new character. I got this guy at Target, so let's take a look. The top, McFarlane Toys, collect to build the Condiment King, ages 12 plus, Batman the Animated Series Batman. Here he's in the package. Looks like we have a total of 6 hands, Batarang, and a grapnel launcher. One side, Batman. Other side, not much going on. On the back, here's Condiment King, the parts you get, instructions how to build him, and the entire rest of the wave. At the bottom, here's his barcode, in case that helps anybody. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting all 4 of these figures at Target. It wasn't easy. The first Target I went to had 1 figure. The second Target I went to only had 3 figures. And a couple days later I finally found Scarecrow. I still haven't found the Platinum Chase variant of Scarecrow. If anybody has an extra or has a lead on where to get one, drop me a line in the comments below. I could really use some help there. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with 5 alternate hands, totaling 7 interchangeable hands, a Batarang, a grapnel launcher, a collector's card, and then Condiment King's arms. But before I take a look at all that, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Batman from Batman the Animated Series. This is a re-release of the Batman that came with the Batcycle DC Direct made a few years ago, and then it has cell shading added to it. And when I say cell shading, I mean to the extreme. So let's take a look. Start with his head here. Looks good. We got that square jaw, that signature Animated Series look. The triangle wide eyes, semi-long ears, a little bit of cell shading at the top. You can see the blue. A little bit around the cowl, that plastic area. And the cape itself is made kind of a crappy material. Blue on the inside, black on the out. Now the cell shading is just madness. It's like a giant shadow on one side of him. I don't know, it's just way overdone if you ask me. He does have double jointed knees, very thin legs. Looks like single jointed elbows. He has an ab crunch, and the only version of Batman that had the ab crunch was the one that came with the Batcycle. It was just sort of make him be able to look forward while on the cycle. So I guess it's appropriate that he comes in the same wave. I don't know, I just think the cell shading is a bit much. The black stuff to the side, black stuff down here. Now little subtle details all over like that and that. Doesn't bother me, but that just doesn't really look good at all. It's almost like Batman in camo colors. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Bat symbol on the chest looks good. That is the signature Batman the Animated Series Batman right there. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. You can see some cell shading on his face. It's not too bad. It's kind of subtle. And then here he is, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories. Let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Batman from Batman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series. On the back, there is a description. If you want to read that, pause now. Now let's look at Condiment King's arms. We have 2 arms for this very obscure character. Looks like a single jointed elbow. If you buy all 4 figures in the wave, you get to collect to build Condiment King, a very obscure character from Batman the Animated Series that has been incorporated into the comics. I love the obscure C and D lister villains. This is right up my alley. I am very happy they made this guy. Now let's look at his hands. He has a total of 7 of them. 4 right hands and 3 left hands. Here's Batman with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And here he is with his next pair of hands. This is a pair of gripping hands. Then, with another pair of gripping hands, these have a much smaller grip for his Batarang. And he has one final right hand. This one has a grapnel launcher permanently attached, which is interesting because he also has a gripping hand that can accommodate his loose grapnel launcher. Here's his grapnel launcher. It's a signature, sort of blocky Batman the Animated Series grapnel launcher. I love the design. He's going to hold it at the bottom, shoot at the top. It is very basic, and it's very bland as far as the paint job. And it's dumb. He doesn't have a hand that'll properly accommodate this thing. I swear one of the other DC Direct animated Batman figures had it. It's a hand that'll have sort of a little bit of room between his index finger and his middle finger to fit the grapnel launcher between. So it doesn't look quite right like this. So you're forced to use this permanent grapnel launcher in his alternate hand. Yeah, it's nice to have the single one. You can put it on like a workstation in the Batcave, but it would have been nice if he had a hand to accommodate it. Now for his Batarang. It's also very basic. It's a traditional Batarang shape, kind of thin, made of a harder plastic. And here's Batman holding and getting ready to throw his Batarang. Now here's another accessory. This one doesn't actually come with this Batman figure, but it comes with the Bat Cycle, which is part of this wave. This is an alternate head for this Batman figure, and he has the helmet on for when he drives the Bat Cycle. As you can see, it has a little bit of blue cell shading on the top. The helmet is basically a larger Batman cowl wrapped around his head. Now originally, when DC Direct made this figure a long time ago, we had the Bat Cycle and Batman in a pack together, and it came with this helmet. That was the only way you can get the Ab Crunch Batman. Now they've re-released it, and kind of milking it by two different releases, but it's all good. I appreciate it. I appreciate the differences on the figures as well. Here's a look at Batman with his regular head, and here he is, wearing the Bat Cycle helmet. And speaking of, here's this Batman on the Bat Cycle. This is the re-release, the McFarlane release with this wave. Now I wanted to check out the differences between this new re-release Batman figure and the original Batman that came with the Bat Cycle. Now, the obvious paint difference is going to be the cell shading, and then the cape is quite different. Beyond that is the same figure, same sculpt, same articulation, so let's take a look. Starting with their heads here, like I said, exactly the same, but the paint on the flesh is considerably different on this guy. Then he has a cell shading on the side of his face, cell shading on the top of his head. Their cape, sort of cowl area, looks really awkward here. The area right above the shoulders sticks way too far up. As we go further down, they both have the ab crunch, but he has a ton of cell shading, especially on the side here. They both have double jointed knees, single jointed elbows. Now the capes are way different. This older DC Direct version has a much wider cape, and it has a wire in the side. That way you can put him on the Bat Cycle, have the cape sort of floating in the air behind him. So the only real difference is the paint job and the cape. Now to check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing right at about 6.2 inches tall, which can translate to just under 16 centimeters. And if you go to the top of the ears, about 6.3 inches tall. And now for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down a pretty good amount. Tilt his head from one side to the other, at least a little bit. Shoulders, ball joint goes out a little bit less than 90 degrees. Up, down, around. Single jointed elbow goes in also a little bit less than 90 degrees with rotation. His wrist can rotate and is going to be hinged. In his torso, he's got this ab crunch, forward and back. Traditional waist swivel. Legs, completely different splits. Ball joints. Rotation's non-existent. They go forward all the way. Back, not much. Double jointed knees. And then his ankle. Forward and back. Tilt rock. And he's got a boot cut for rotation. Here's Batman, unmasked, doing research in the Batcave. And then Batman getting on the Bat Cycle in the Batcave, getting ready to take on the streets of Gotham. Here's Batman, just leaving Arkham Asylum. And here he is on a rooftop, overlooking Gotham, making sure everything's safe. Here's Batman on a Gotham rooftop, kind of like the introduction to Batman the Animated Series. Here's this cell-shaded Batman, next to a cell-shaded Robin, the dynamic duo, both from this wave, both cell-shaded. Add in Batgirl, and you have the entire Batman the Animated Series Bat family. And then here's this Batman, next to the new Batman Adventures Bat family sidekicks. Now let's check them out. Next is some of their action figures, starting off with some of their McFarlane, DC Direct, Batman the Animated Series figures. Here's Batman with the rest of this wave. We have Scarecrow, Batman, Robin, and Mr. Freeze. They're all cell-shaded, they're all re-releases, and Scarecrow got a Platinum Chase variant. And if you buy the entire wave, and you only need to buy one version of Scarecrow, then you collect to build Condiment King, a crazy obscure villain from Batman the Animated Series, a welcome addition to the collection. And let's not forget, they also had a vehicle in this wave, a re-release and repaint of the Bat Cycle. Now these are not the only DC Direct Animated Series figures McFarlane has released. The previous ones I made was the Laughing Fish 4-pack. This is a Walmart exclusive, at least in the US. These are also cell-shaded. We have the Animated Series, Bullock, Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn. Now the first animated DC Direct releases McFarlane did were these three. This is a wave. We have the new Batman Adventures Batman, the Batman Who Laughs, and Catwoman. These are based off Batman The Adventures Continue, the comics. When DC Direct ended a few years ago, there were 2 waves they didn't get to release that they had shown off. McFarlane picked up where they left off, released these figures. There are still several more that haven't been released, and I'm hoping eventually they will. Some highlights there were the Vampire Batman, Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman, and then Talon. There were a couple other ones like Batgirl and Robin, but I hope at least those 3 unique versions of Batman and Talon come out. Here he is, next to DC Direct's original Batman the Animated Series Batman. There are some shared parts here, but the legs are different with double jointed knees, the torso is different than ab crunch. Now I have 5 of these figures using the exact same mold as the original release they came from. One was a single release Batman Animated Series figure, one came with the Bat Signal, one came with the Batmobile and the Bat Signal pack, one came with the Batman and Phantasm 2 pack, and then one came with the Batman Expressions pack. Then, here he is, next to the DC Direct Batman figure that came in the Bat Cycle and Batman 2 pack. This is the first one and only one with the ab crunch. I actually got 3 of these Batman and Bat Cycle packs. I wanted to have 3 of the Bat Cycles for Batman, Robin, and Nightwing. Then there's a cel-shaded Batman from the animated series. He uses some parts from the original Batman and some from the Bat Cycle Batman. We have the double jointed knees, but no ab crunch. Now these came with the very last wave from DC Direct, and then McFarlane's Laughing Fish 4-pack. And now, next to the Hard Act Batman, this utilizes the same body with the double jointed knees and no ab crunch. Here's this Batman, next to DC Direct's The New Batman Adventures Batman. This is the first wave of animated series figures they made. Quite dated. McFarlane did re-release him in cel shading in their first wave of animated figures. And here he is, next to the Justice League Unlimited Batman. Then with Batman in the large armored suit, this is part of DC Direct's final wave. Here he is, next to the Batman animated series sidekicks, Robin and Batgirl. Then, with the new Batman Adventures sidekicks, Nightwing, Robin, and Batgirl. Here's a look at all the Batman villains, Batman the Animated Series style. These are done with DC Direct. Gonna add Condiment King to this mix. And here's a look at all the different animated villains, the new Batman Adventure style. Different style, same universe. They all look fantastic next to each other. Now let's check them out. Next is some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise. In case you know which lines you can mix them with. Since he's a DC Direct Batman the Animated Series figure, they're typically the 6-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the smaller action figure lines I collect, and work my larger, and I'm going to include as many Batman figures as I can during these comparisons. Here he is, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures, and some SH Figure Arts action figures, and now, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends, and some Mayfix Batman figures. Here's this Batman, next to a box of drill bits, and here he is, next to some Mattel and Mezco Batman figures. Then, next to both some Jazzwares and Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some DC Direct and some NECA Batman figures. Then, with some DST, Diamond Select Toys, and some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And finally, here he is, next to some McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman figures. So overall, this is a good Batman figure, but not a great Batman figure. I've always had a problem with the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series figures. Their proportions are a little off, the legs way too thin, their articulation is very limited, and they used to be quite fragile, although they've improved on that greatly. Sculpt and paint job are excellent, no issues there. Articulation is quite weak. The accessories, they're good, but even the accessories, like the gadgets, they're just very bland, basic as far as the paint job goes. They could be a lot better. Now, this Batman is a re-release of the Batcycle version, and that one has the ab crunch, but it's specifically for the Batcycle. I don't think it was supposed to be a single release, so it just looks a little off. And then he has this really, really glossy paint job. Now, he should have a fabric suit, but the gloss, you can just see the shininess on his chest right now. In addition to that, the cel shading. The cel shading on this guy sucks. You can see some of the other Batman figures. The cel shading is very minor, very subtle. That's how you do it. This looks like sort of Camo Attack Batman or something weird like that. If I were to rate this guy, I'm probably going to give him a 6 out of 10. Maybe he deserves a tiny bit higher, but I think he's just inferior to what came before, and they could have re-released a better version. Although they've already re-released the regular version with cel shading, I just think that one is better than this. This one is designed to go with the Bat Cycle, so I do understand why they picked this one, and it's a fair decision for a re-release, but it stands at my 6 out of 10. Looking forward to the next couple of waves by McFarlane Toys. We have the next one being the new Batman Adventures, and then an animated series wave after that. Not sure who the middle figures are. Hope it's something new. So let's also talk about the price. $30 a piece for these guys. They're all re-releases. It costs a lot to get the Condiment King. Is it worth it? It just depends on how into animated series you are. Yes, it is, but man, they are overpriced, especially for what you actually get. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.